Miema organized a kick-off meeting in October 2013 for the EU-funded MED operational program called the MER project. The MER lead partner from the province of Bologna, Italy, joined the other 10 partners along with Miema in Malta to plan the program for the MER project. After the kick-off meeting, Miema asked some of the participants for their feedback on their experience of meeting representatives of the partners of the MER project.
I'm Jasmine Chouireb, Director of MEMA, the Malta Intelligent Energy Management Agency, and we're participating in this new project that we have the kick-off meeting today for the MER project, which is led by the province of Bologna. MER is a MED program, capitalization program, building on other projects which we have implemented, which the partners have participated in over the past few years. In our case, MEMA is participating in this project, bringing over the methodology that was used for the Enerscapes project. Enerscapes was a project led by us to explore the relationship between landscape and energy, renewable energy sources. And in this case, we're applying that methodology for industrial areas in line with the aims of this new project, which is to explore how green measures can improve industrial areas in the countries participating in this project. MER is a project which is a regional development program for the Mediterranean partners. In the case of Malta, the Malta Industrial Parks is responsible for the industrial areas in Malta, and we're working with them to see how we can improve the green initiatives taken by these industrial parks. Well, MEMA has organized this kick-off meeting and the initial conference for Maltese and our partners. Now there will be a series of study visits to different industrial areas around the Mediterranean which have been selected for their good practices to improve the green measures around industrial parks, and hopefully towards the end of the project we'll have another event in Malta to promote the results of this project and the good practices that we've seen and that we can adopt in Malta through the project.
The most important thing of the MER project is that there are many different countries represented. The most important thing that we learn from other countries, we have to economize on our energy consumption. We have to educate the management of the Maltese industrial parks how to introduce alternative energy.
As far as Malta is concerned, the option to use alternative energy is something which should be accepted without any thought at all. The costs of energy in Malta are exceptionally high in terms of where it sits in the European Union. And it just seems to me that it's a no-brainer for any business to actually look at ways of reducing its costs, and one of those is to actually look seriously at alternative energy. I'm lucky enough to have lived in Malta for some sort of 10, 11 years and seen many of the industrial areas that there are. And it strikes me that there are significant opportunities for Maltese industry to take advantage of and learn from some of the lessons that exist in other parts of Europe, many of whom are partners in the MER project with us. And one could easily come up with examples from Germany or France or the UK, which it would be sensible for Maltese companies to follow. And it's a pity that so many of them are reluctant to get hold of these new ideas, because at the end of the day, if they are able to substitute alternative energy with existing direct sources of electricity, the savings that they will achieve will go straight to their bottom line, which will enable them to be more profitable, which enables them to compete in the overseas world. It was absolutely fascinating, and I must admit I thought it was extremely well organised, and of course to have the opportunity to meet people from outside of Malta who were prepared to come and share their experiences with the Maltese was a big part of the event, and I think it helped to make it very successful.
To show an example of good practice in Malta, Miema visited a pioneer organization, Golden Harvest Manufacturing Company, in one of Malta's industrial parks. It is my privilege today to introduce you to Mr. John Aquilina, the chairman of the Golden Harvest Manufacturing Company, which is the largest bakery in Malta. A family business that started before World War II and is running in the most modern way possible today. John, you have been with the company all your life and you are still chairman today. It's all right between friends if I ask you how old you are?
80 years old.
Tell me please, at your age, do you still come to work?
From goes out, I travel every day.
So in this modern world, there is a lot of talk about alternative energy. Are you keen on this? Are you interested in this?
Of course.
Like your father, you are still a pioneer. These modern new words like alternative energy do not scare you. How did you find the courage to start up on this?
I called the experts to look after our economy system.
Thank you, John. I will now ask your expert how far you have gone in introducing alternative energy to Golden Harvest. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Steve Parcher. Steve, Golden Harvest asked you to introduce this new thing, alternative energy, at the plant. How did you set about it?
The first thing we started off with was to see what space was available on the factory's new plant, and after assessing the size of the roof and bearing in mind the heavy consumption of electricity that they were using, we configured the system which is large enough to help them reduce their carbon footprint and energy needs for the company.
Steve, alternative energy is relatively new in Europe. And in Malta, what is happening?
Well, most of it is done in-house. We train our own personnel, we have engineers who pass on their knowledge to our installers, and it is not as complicated as one would imagine. The panels are installed on the rooftops, unshaded areas facing directly south.
Thank you, Steve. And to close, can you tell me please what is the main factor that can assure us that this policy of alternative energy will keep going in Malta?
Obviously, the equipment is still fairly expensive, and unless the government helps through some funding from Europe, it is still very hard for local manufacturers to be able to buy the equipment and install on the rooftops. Funding is coming in from Malta Enterprise and through ERDF funding, which makes the burden a lot less for the companies to install this equipment.
Thank you, Steve. And now we must go in the open air and see for real what is happening. To find out more good practice in Malta, Miema interviewed the Vice President of the Mosta Technopark Tenants Association. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Simon Alden, who is the General Manager at this factory here, the Bavarian Technology Systems. He is also volunteering as Vice President of the Mosta Technopark Tenants Association. Can I ask you, Simon, please, to tell me more about Mosta Technopark and about the Tenants Association?
One has to bear in mind that the industrial estates in Malta are basically owned and managed by the Maltese government. Now, when the Mosta Technopark was built about 12 years ago, it was decided to try and pass over the management and maintenance of the estate to the private sector. The best way to do that was to actually set up an association made up of the tenants of the industrial estate. So basically the tenants themselves vote for their representatives on the committee, and the committee is elected every 2 years. And what the committee does is it administers the funding which is provided by the companies themselves. The companies pay a maintenance fee every year based on the size of the factory, and that money is used to maintain the park in the best possible conditions. So we take care of the landscaping, the waste collection, the lighting, anything relating to the maintenance of an estate, even painting the markings on the road, for example. And we've done that quite successfully, and we're recognized as being the best kept and best looking industrial estate in the Maltese Islands.
Interesting. Can you tell me, please, what type of companies are tenants in the Mosta Technopark?
When the industrial estate the Technopark was first constructed, the aim was to have a high quality, modern estate which would be suitable for high-tech companies. So initially a lot of the companies were involved in the electronics sector. Over the years, the number of sectors and the type of sectors represented here changed. In fact, if you look at the cross-section of the companies here today, we've got IT companies, biotechnology, electronics, medical disposables, etc., etc. So it's quite a diversified range.
Quite a variety. What are the measures being taken by some of you with regards to the consumption of water and electricity?
Well, I think you have to tackle that question on two different levels. First, we can look at the measures taken by the actual designers of the industrial estate originally, because it was designed to be a sustainable, environmentally friendly type of industrial estate. And then we can look at what the individual companies are doing. In terms of the design of the estate, one of the main features is the water catchment system which exists. We have a couple of reservoirs, underground reservoirs, which carry about 2.
We have a couple of reservoirs.
Yeah, we have a couple of reservoirs which together can take or store about 2.8 million litres of rainwater. So all the rainwater falling on the roofs of the factories, and that's quite a substantial area, is channeled directly into the reservoirs. So this water is used for landscaping and irrigation, and we only have to resort to using alternative water supplies in summer when the reservoirs have been depleted. In terms of electricity, there's not much that the association could do, but we've installed energy-saving lamps throughout the industrial estate. We have a centrally organized waste collection system, so we have the different tenants separating the waste, and it's collected and then recycled. Then going on to the individual companies, I can't speak for every company because what happens within the company themselves I'm not specifically aware of. But from the side of Bavarian Technology Systems, my company, we are quite high consumers of electricity. So when ERDF funding was made available by government for energy saving measures, we took the opportunity and invested in one of the first large-scale solar photovoltaic systems in the Maltese Islands. And we now have 80 kilowatts of solar panels on our roof, which supplies us with about 1/3 of our electricity requirements. I know that at least one other company has a smaller installation on its roof, but again with the same goal to save energy. And I believe other companies have been looking at the possibility of investing in solar PV.
Would you be so kind as to take us up on the roof now and show us your photovoltaic system that you have installed? MER project went off to a good start. With the encouragement of the various partners' sharing of experiences, it augurs well for the MER project to identify the best practice to be exchanged among the partners of the MER project.